Hi, my name is Janet Mahley. I live here at 900 Bayview in Strathmere. We've been here a pretty long time. Actually, the Mahleys were here. They came down in the late 40s, about 48, 49, and they had a trailer in the trailer park. That's my husband's mom and dad. And let's see, when my husband was about 15, 16, he actually worked in the trailer park for quite a while. But in 1954, they bought this house at 900 Bayview. And the house itself was just a small house, and it had no front door on Bayview Drive. The front door was on the bay. The builder, the guy who built it, said that's where what you wanted to look out on. And it's funny because the people next door in the little house, they happen to be the Murphys, and the Murphys built the house the same. Their house was built the same way, and it had a great big wide front door. And the Murphys in the wintertime, they would put their boat through that front door and keep it stored in the house before it got too cold to get ready for winter. Also, the Murphys had a son, Dave and Don's, my husband's sister, Pat, actually were sweethearts and eventually married and had children and lived a happy life together. Our other neighbors were pretty neat. The houses beyond, there weren't too many. It was actually the Coxes were the furthest down. And then Capilucci's bought the little white house next to us, which was the Murphys. And on the other side of us was Mr. and Mrs. Lavalier. And Horace, their son, was a young guy at that time, and he had his boats and all his toys and all. It was pretty neat to watch him do his things. And next to them was the Thompsons, and they were quite nice people, and they actually had built their house a few years before that. And then Ebner's in the little house next to them, and then there was a little luncheonette that also sold bait and all next to them, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of that, but it was there. And then that in years later turned into Larry's Dock, because Bob Zane bought that, and he eventually built his big house down on the other side, down close to the boat ramp. I met Don in the, I guess, 64, 65. We were married in 66, so I was introduced to Strathmere then. His mom and dad, of course, had a place, and it was just a small house then. It was a single story. They had taken a hit on the 62 storm. They had quite a bit of water in the house, and they had raised it up, so it's a little bit off the ground. So it was just nice. But when Don and I were married and we had our son, and Pat and Dave, of course, had some children, so my father-in-law put it upstairs and enlarged the house so everybody could stay and be comfortable. It's been real nice. I learned to swim down here. I could get in the water and everything before, but I had to really learn how to swim here. And had enjoyed many dips here in the bay and also in the ocean. I've enjoyed many fishing excursions. Before we were married, as a matter of fact, we would go winter flounder fishing, which was cold, but it was a lot of fun. Learned about chumming and all that, and it was a lot of fun. As my son, we had a son, and as he grew up, we got into the boats. Our first boat was a 14 aluminum, nothing fancy, with a small motor, and we let him start taking it out by himself. He kind of really wanted to do that with him. His grandpa taught him pretty much a lot about boating and all, and his dad did too. But one day he went out and he wanted to go out on his own. So the boat was 14 foot, had a little 9.5 Johnson, I think, on it, something like that, and he didn't come back. And I'm thinking, oh, where is he? He was, I was kind of worried. And at that time, they were dredging down in the inlet and all. So I'm kind of concerned, what's going on. So but as I'm looking down the bay, all of a sudden this tugboat's coming up, and I look closer and closer. As it got closer, there's my son sitting right up top on that tugboat, and getting closer. And I looked, oh, there's our boat. He's being towed behind, so he was being towed in. So he gets a little closer, and sure enough, there's Greg, and the operator of the tugboat pops out, and he says, "Hey, lady," he says, "does this belong to you?" so he brought my son home safely. Actually, the prop had popped, or something was wrong with the boat, so he helped him out, which was real nice. There's a couple other good stories. We had some nights boats. We used to love to come down and put the boat in, and at twilight we used to like to cruise down the bay, and we've done a lot of fishing and a lot of crabbing and even clamming. So I've enjoyed it all. My big fish, though, I did catch a fish. I caught a striper, but I caught it with my bare hands. I was out there looking, just sitting on our dock one day, and all of a sudden this old thing is flopping in the water, and I thought, what the hell is that? So I went over on, at that time, the Harlers had moved on, and Frank Maroney owned the place, and so I went out on his dock, and it was pretty high tide, and this thing was flopping and getting closer and closer. So I reached down, I laid down on the dock, and I reached down and I picked it up with my bare hands, and here it was about a 16-inch striper. Evidently somebody had caught it down the way, and it didn't revive it quite enough, and so I had it in my hands, and I took it over to my dock, and we flushed it in the water, swished it back and forth, trying to revive it, but the poor little thing couldn't revive it. So actually it landed on our grill, and it was delicious. But we've had a lot of fun, though, here in Strathmere. It's a wonderful little town. It's changing like everything else does, but I certainly have enjoyed it. It's just wonderful. I've seen many beautiful sunsets. It's fun to watch the boats. There's always something going on the bay, and the fishing and the clamming and the crabbing. It's just great. It's wonderful. And I really enjoy it.